Aestheticism, the appreciation of beauty. Okay? Now, what's that got to do with it? Beauty has to do with color. Okay? How many of you, think about this now, how many of you have been watching a TV program and suddenly one comes on in black and white? And if it wasn't something you were particularly interested in, how quick did you reach for the remote? We're prone to look for the color TV. We found that you can change the temperature in a room by changing the color in the walls. And it has nothing to do with the thermostat. It has everything to do with how it affects our psyche. Okay? So with the bottom line of all of this, beauty is a very important part to control our emotions. Now what's that got to do with marriage? Emotions. Emotions. Do you realize that 70% of all marriages are to opposites? Think about that now. 70% of all marriages are to opposites. Well, with that particular statistic, the suggestion is that we are worlds apart? Not necessarily. You see, marriage is something we have to work at. Marriage is something that we grow into. Marriage is a growing process. And in the growing process, what we do is to try to discover. We don't want to make a clone out of them, make them just like me. As a matter of fact, in a marriage relationship, if my spouse has talents I don't have, and I have talents she doesn't have, what do we have if we put those talents together? How much more success should happen? So the bottom line is, yes, we recognize the differences, but here's what we do. We want to focus on the idea of finding what those differences are. Guess what? We're back to communication. Finding out what the different interests are. And then exploring how we can cater to those interests. I did this once for a television series that we did on the subject of marriage. And the suggestion was bowling. Well, let's go bowling. Neither one of them had gone bowling before, so let's go bowling. And we go out and we found out, boy, that was fun. Let's go again. And again, they find this fun. And then one of the parties becomes sick, so the other goes by himself. He comes back with the conclusion, it wasn't as much fun without you. Bottom line, they have now created something that each one can find interest in, and they now need each other to really enjoy it. They have made their relationship stronger. Let me challenge you with this statement. I'll make it twice. The more you have in common outside the relationship, the stronger the relationship. Do you hear me? The more you have in common outside of the relationship, the stronger the relationship. This is a beauty of church attendance. When you get involved in a church as a couple, you've got that same common grounds there then, and in it, as you work towards that common grounds, as you work towards that end of doing your best and so forth, you've got something in common, so your relationship is stronger. Children, awesome. They're the blessed part of a marriage relationship. And one of the reasons is because now we're focusing on our children. Two of you, husband, wife, has children in mind, and so you're focusing on them. And so you're becoming stronger in your relationship for their sakes. It's amazing. Look for the things that excite one another. Look for the interests of the other. Discover what you can have in common in different interests, and discover how it can make your relationship stronger. Well, we've gone over the 7 basic needs. With that in mind, I would like to suggest a question to you. Okay, how many Bible scholars are out there watching this? I want to ask you this question. Where in the Bible do you find the text that says, and Adam fell in love with Eve and took her to wife? Anybody coming up with a text? Well, if you do, I've got to tell you you're wrong, because there is no text that says that. There is no text. You see, Adam didn't have a big choice. He only had Eve, and Eve had only one to pick from, and that was Adam. Okay? Remember what we're talking about? Marriage is based upon needs. A need-meeting relationship. It's not based upon love. Think about that. It's not based upon love. So what's love got to do with it? Here it is. Think of this closely. Focus on those needs. What's love got to do with it? Well, love is the motivator that it motivates me to meet my spouse's needs. You see, I don't get married to get my needs met. I get married because I want to meet my spouse's needs. And so love motivates me to meet my spouse's needs. And when both spouses work that way, needs get met. And what's interesting about this is that each need being met brings stronger love. For instance, people tell me, I want a happy marriage. And I ask you, how do you find happiness? You don't find happiness by seeking it. You find happiness by giving it away. Indeed, the concept is, if I find happiness by seeking it, I fix it on someone or something, and then when I've got what I think I wanted, it's not what I thought it was, and it's not all what I'm thinking of. On the other hand, when I seek to make someone else happy, now I find happiness. It makes me feel good because I made a difference for someone else. I made their life a little better. I made them feel happy, and so I now feel happy. You see, the concept for husband and wife here is that each one of them lives to make the other happy. Now, let me challenge the concept of any questions on that, okay? Here's what I want to challenge you with. When that needs aren't being met, when the 7 basic needs aren't being met, the well of love begins to dry. The well of love begins to dry up. Something's lacking. Something's missing. That's why it's so important to focus on meeting each other's needs, because it keeps the love alive. And then when I share to meet my spouse's needs, I feel better about myself. Okay? I find my happiness because I made her happy. I hear this, well, I can never seem to make him happy. Well, if he doesn't know his happiness comes from making her happy, no matter what she does, she won't make him happy. It's all about each one of us making the other happy. Let's move this to the next generation. What happens with children? Children want to please parents, and so what they do is they do this particular task and so forth, and so proudly present it to mom and dad say, wow, I'm so proud of you, you did a great job, and the child now feels happy. How did the child get happy? By making mom and dad happy, they found their happiness. It's so important to give approval to your children. So important to tell them when they do the good. Many times people will only correct them when they do wrong. And I hear this concept. They'll never tell me when I'm doing right. They'll only tell me when I'm doing wrong. I'm never going to be good enough. The awesome part of all of this is we need to communicate to each other the times that you do something that make us happy. You need to tell the person. I find this other concept too, when people try to make a change to make the relationship better. And yet what I hear there in contrast to this is, well, I keep trying, but no one seems to know it. And then the other person says, well, I know I see him doing the change, but on the other hand, I'm waiting for it to go back the other way. No, we need to communicate to each other the things that are happening that makes us feel good, that makes us happy, so we can make them happy as well. Bottom line with all of this, back to the concept of communicating in a marriage relationship.